First Contact's price. The Xiran diplomatic vessel materialized in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning, carrying not just the first proof of alien life, but also a desperate plea for help. Their crystalline ship, designed to capture and reflect starlight in complex patterns of communication, transmitted a simple message in binary: "We seek sanctuary." The Galactic Coalition had labeled them technological primitives, a species whose development should be guided by more advanced civilizations. In Coalition terms, guidance meant systematic resource extraction and cultural assimilation. The Xirans, with their photosynthetic biology and deep connection to their homeworld's complex ecosystem, had refused to abandon their way of life for the Coalition's standardized development program. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the holographic replay of that first contact for the 100th time, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of the Xiran ship's crystalline structure. In the 5 years since that day, humanity had learned much from their allies, not about advanced technology or weapons, but about the intricate dance of stellar winds, the songs of distant stars, and the delicate balance of life across the galaxy. "They're making their move," Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported, his typically steady voice carrying an edge of concern. 3 Coalition warships just entered the Xiran home system. Sarah's jaw tightened. The Coalition had been testing boundaries for months, each incursion growing bolder than the last. They believed Earth's protection of the Xirans was a symbolic gesture. After all, humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. What could they possibly do against a civilization that had been crossing the stars for millennia? "Send the message," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's unanimous decision. Exactly as written. The message was brief, transmitted simultaneously in every known Coalition language and protocol. "The Xiran system is under Earth's protection. Your presence is unauthorized. You have 1 standard hour to withdraw." The Coalition's response came quickly, dripping with diplomatic condescension. Humanity's aspirations for galactic influence are noted, but the Coalition's authority predates your species' mastery of fire. The Xiran system will be brought into compliance with standard development protocols. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They really should have done their research better, she mused, turning to her crew. "Launch the Galactic defense grid. Let's show them why the Xirans chose us as allies." Across the Xiran system, hundreds of satellites suddenly shimmered into visibility, their quantum-engineered surfaces having kept them hidden from even the most advanced Coalition sensors. Humanity had learned early that appearing less advanced than they actually were had distinct advantages. "Grid is active, Admiral," the tactical officer reported. "Coalition ships are scanning. They're detecting the grid now." The Coalition vessels, sleek predators of crystalline metal and energy fields, suddenly found themselves surrounded by technology they couldn't comprehend. The defense grid wasn't built on the standard principles of Coalition science. Humanity had taken a different path, developing technologies that seemed to break the very laws of physics as the Coalition understood them. "Their weapons are charging," Jackson reported, tension evident in his voice. "Let them," Sarah replied calmly. "Activate the field." The defense grid hummed to life, creating a web of quantum-entangled space that effectively placed the Coalition ships in a bubble of altered reality. Their weapons, impressive as they were, would find their energy simply feeding back into itself, trapped in an endless loop of cause and effect. "Send the second message," Sarah ordered. This one was even shorter. "The terms of our protection are non-negotiable. You have 55 minutes remaining." On the Coalition flagship, Admiral Vextor, a being of living crystal and electromagnetic fields, experienced an emotion his species rarely felt: doubt. The humans' defense technology wasn't just advanced. It operated on principles his scientists claimed were impossible. The grid surrounding his ships wasn't blocking their weapons. It was redefining the very nature of space around them. "Full scan of the human defense system," he ordered, his crystalline form vibrating with increasing concern. Unable to comply, his science officer responded. "Their technology. It's as if they're using laws of physics we don't understand. In her command chair, Sarah watched the coalition ship's futile attempts to analyze the defense grid. Humanity had learned early in their space exploration that the universe was far stranger than anyone had imagined. While the coalition had built their empire on mastery of known physical laws, Earth's scientists had asked different questions, found different answers, and walked paths that led to technologies that appeared to break reality itself. The Girons had recognized this unique approach to science and technology. They had seen in humanity not just the potential for protection, but kindred spirits who understood that progress didn't always mean following the expected path. "Admiral," Jackson called out, "coalition ships are powering down weapons. They're beginning to withdraw." Sarah nodded, but kept the defense grid active. "Send the final message." The words that appeared on every coalition screen were simple. "The Giron system is closed to coalition traffic. Humanity's terms for diplomatic relations are unchanged. Leave our friends alone. We will not issue another warning." As the coalition ships retreated, Sarah turned to her communications officer. "Send word to Earth. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The coalition just learned that technological advancement isn't always visible on the surface. In the depths of space, the Giron crystal ships caught the light of their sun and transformed it into patterns of joy and gratitude. Humanity had proven once again why they had chosen correctly. Sometimes, the most powerful allies were those who understood that true strength lay not in domination, but in the willingness to protect those who chose a different path. The warning shot. The Coalition High Council chamber was designed to intimidate. Soaring crystalline spires caught and refracted light in complex patterns that spoke of power, age, and unshakable authority. For 10,000 years, species across the galaxy had trembled before its majesty. Today, however, the chamber hosted something unprecedented. Confusion. High Chancellor Ixel, their plasma-based form contained within an ornate energy field, reviewed the sensor data for the 12th time. "Impossible," they declared, their energy patterns flickering with agitation. "The humans cannot have developed quantum reality manipulation. They were throwing rocks at each other mere centuries ago." "The evidence is undeniable," Science Minister Krull responded, their crystalline form vibrating at frequencies that indicated deep concern. "The defense grid they deployed around the Giron system operates on principles we cannot explain. Our best theories suggest they found a way to locally alter the fundamental constants of physics itself." The chamber erupted in a chaos of light patterns, electromagnetic pulses, and quantum fluctuations, the coalition equivalent of shouting. Chancellor Ixel's containment field flared bright enough to cast shadows on nearby walls. "Order," they demanded. "We must approach this logically. What do we know about humanity's technological development?" A holographic display materialized in the chamber center, showing Earth's known history. Admiral Vexthor, still shaken from his encounter with the human defense grid, stepped forward. "We may have made a critical error in our assessment," he admitted. "We tracked their visible technological progress, their rockets, their computers, their energy systems. But we never asked why they seemed to skip certain expected developmental stages." The display shifted, showing gaps in the normal progression of technological advancement. Earth had gone from primitive computing to quantum systems without developing several intermediate technologies. Their energy grid had transformed almost overnight from fossil fuels to something they called zero-point extraction. They weren't behind us technologically, Krull realized, their crystalline structure resonating with dawning comprehension. They were beside us, walking a completely different path. On Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Maya Patel watched a real-time feed of the Coalition Council meeting. The quantum observation system that made this possible was yet another technology humanity had kept hidden, not out of fear, but out of pragmatism. "They're finally asking the right questions," she commented to her colleague, Dr. James Chen, Admiral Chen's brother and the theoretical physicist who had first proposed the possibility of reality engineering. "Better late than never," James replied, adjusting his glasses as he studied the coalition's energy patterns. Should we show them the next stage? Maya smiled, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of holographic displays. The Admiral gave the green light. Time for the warning shot. In the coalition chamber, the debate about how to handle the human situation was interrupted by a sudden shift in reality itself. The chamber's carefully engineered quantum state, the very thing that allowed so many different species to exist in the same space, flickered. For one terrifying moment, every being in the chamber experienced existence as humans perceived it. They saw the quantum foam of reality, the strings of probability that connected all things, and the malleable nature of what they had thought were immutable laws of physics. The vision lasted less than a second, but its impact was immediate and profound. When the chamber returned to normal, there was absolute silence. A new hologram appeared, showing Admiral Chen. Unlike previous transmissions, this one showed her standing in what was clearly a reality engineering lab, surrounded by technologies that the Coalition's best scientists couldn't begin to comprehend. "Now that we have your attention," she said calmly, "let's talk about the future of our diplomatic relations. While you were busy evaluating our visible technology, we were learning to see the universe as it really is, not a set of unchangeable laws, but a canvas of possibilities." She gestured, and a small device appeared in her hand. "This is a basic reality engineering tool, something we give to our children as toys. It can locally alter the probability of quantum events, making the impossible probable. The defense grid around the Zhurin system uses similar principles, just on a larger scale." The council chamber remained silent, every being present understanding the implications. Humanity hadn't just developed new technologies, they had fundamentally changed their understanding of reality itself. "The Zhurins saw this potential in us," Sarah continued. "They recognized that we might take a different path, find different answers. That's why they chose us as allies. We don't want to reshape your worlds or change your ways of life. We simply ask that you extend the same courtesy to others." Chancellor Ixel's energy field stabilized as they processed this new reality. "What are your terms?" they asked, their tone now carrying none of its former condescension. "The same as always," Sarah replied. "Leave our friends alone. The Zhurins have chosen their path, just as we have chosen ours. The galaxy is vast enough for many different ways of existence." As the transmission ended, Science Minister Krill turned to the Council. "We must reevaluate everything we thought we knew about technological progress," they announced. "The humans haven't just advanced along our path. They've discovered there are other paths entirely." In the Antarctic facility, Maya and James watched the Coalition leaders struggle with their new understanding. "Do you think they'll actually change?" Maya asked. James shrugged. "They might not have a choice. We just showed them that their understanding of reality is incomplete. That's not the kind of revelation you can simply ignore." Admiral Chen's voice came through their quantum comm system. "Phase 2 complete. The Coalition now knows we're not just capable of defending our allies. We're capable of changing the rules of the game entirely. Let's hope they're wise enough to understand what that means." Calculations of consequence. The Coalition's Strategic Analysis Center was a marvel of conventional space-time engineering. A massive structure where quantum computers the size of cities calculated probable futures. For the first time in its 1,000-year history, it was producing nothing but errors. "The simulations keep breaking down," Senior Analyst Zex reported, their silicon-based neural network pulsing with frustration. "Every time we try to model human technological development, the quantum matrices collapse." Director Venn, a being of pure energy contained within a lattice of rare elements, moved through the facility's central processing core. Their form flickered with patterns that the center's emotional analysis systems tagged as extreme concern. "Show me the last complete simulation," they commanded. The holographic display filled the chamber, showing the known galaxy. Coalition space glowed in steady blue, marking 10,000 years of stable expansion. Then a new light appeared, Earth, a tiny point of green that shouldn't have mattered. But as the simulation progressed, that point began to change the rules of the model itself. There, Zex highlighted a moment 5 years after first contact with the Zhurans. This is where our predictions first began to fail. We assumed humanity's protection of the Zhurans was symbolic. Our models couldn't account for them being able to rewrite local reality. Then finished, because we didn't believe it was possible. In her office aboard the Earth ship Prometheus, Dr. Maya Patel received the latest quantum scans of Coalition space. The massive facility they detected was impressive. If you thought processing power was the key to understanding the universe, they're still trying to predict us using conventional models, she noted, sharing the data with James Chen. Should we show them why that won't work? James studied the scans, his expression thoughtful. The Admiral says it's time. Let's give them a peek behind the curtain. In the Strategic Analysis Center, alarms suddenly blared. The quantum computers detected an impossibility. A human ship had appeared inside their secure space, bypassing every defense system, as if they simply didn't exist. The Prometheus hung in the void, its hull shifting with patterns that hurt to look at directly. It wasn't cloaked or hidden. It existed in a state that the Coalition's sensors insisted was mathematically impossible. Greetings, Maya's voice filled the facility, accompanied by a hologram that showed her sitting in what appeared to be a garden. Behind her, equations floated in the air, rearranging themselves in patterns that made the Coalition's best mathematicians feel dizzy. We noticed you trying to calculate our future actions, she continued pleasantly. We thought it might help to explain why your models keep failing. You see, we don't just use technology. We've learned to have conversations with reality itself. The garden around her shifted, becoming a visual representation of quantum probability fields. Coalition scientists watched in amazement as she reached out and literally plucked a quantum string, causing ripples in the fabric of space-time. Your models assume a universe of fixed laws, James added, stepping into view. But we found that the universe is more like a living thing. It responds to observation, to intention, to understanding. The Zhurans knew this instinctively. It's why they sought us out. Director Ven's energy form pulsed with revelation. The Zhurans. Their crystalline technology. We always assumed it was primitive because it didn't follow our development path. Exactly, Maya smiled. They don't force reality to behave. They ask it nicely. We learned that from them, combined it with our own insights, and found ways to suggest alterations in the probability matrix of existence itself. The implications hit the Coalition analysts like a supernova. Humanity hadn't just developed new technology. They'd discovered a fundamentally different way of interacting with reality. Their protection of the Zhurans wasn't just political or military. It was a recognition of shared insight into the nature of existence itself. Your models keep failing, James explained, because they assume causality is a one-way street. We've learned it's more like a dance. The universe leads sometimes it follows, but it's always a partnership. In the Antarctic facility, Admiral Chen watched the transmission with satisfaction. Show them, she ordered. Maya nodded and gestured. The massive quantum computers of the Strategic Analysis Center suddenly began producing new results, not by processing faster, but by accepting input from probability streams they hadn't known existed. We've upgraded your systems, she announced to the stunned Coalition scientists. They can now see some of what we see. Consider it a gift, and a reminder that there's always more to learn. The implications were staggering. The Coalition had prided itself on knowing the fundamental laws of the universe. Now they were being shown that what they knew was merely one perspective, one way of viewing a reality far more complex and responsive than they had imagined. We understand power, Maya concluded, her voice gentle but firm. We understand the desire to shape the galaxy according to your vision. But we've learned there are other ways. The Zhurans showed us that. Perhaps it's time for you to learn it too. As the Prometheus phased out of conventional spacetime, leaving behind upgraded quantum computers that would keep the coalition's scientists busy for decades. Director Venn turned to their staff. Update all strategic assessments, they ordered, their energy form pulsing with new understanding. Classification. Humanity is not merely an emerging power. They are a civilization that has transcended our understanding of what power means. In the Garden of the Prometheus, Maya and James watched coalition space recede through a window that showed reality as it truly was, a flowing, responsive tapestry of possibility. "Do you think they'll understand?" Maya asked. James smiled. "They're scientists at heart. Once they see there's more to learn, they won't be able to resist exploring. The real question is whether they'll learn the right lesson. And what lesson is that?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "That sometimes the best way to advance isn't to conquer the unknown," James replied, "but to make friends with it." The chess move. The Coalition War Council had not met in full session for over 3 centuries. Now its members gathered in a secure quantum bubble, their various forms of consciousness linked in ways that transcended normal spacetime. The topic: what to do about humanity. "They've demonstrated capabilities beyond our comprehension," General Carr stated, their quantum crystalline form vibrating with barely contained energy. "Yet they use this power only to protect the Zhurans. It makes no tactical sense." High Marshal Ivan, a being of pure thought housed in a quantum matrix, pulsed with disagreement. "It makes perfect sense, if you abandon our traditional understanding of power dynamics. The humans aren't playing the same game we are." In Earth's Lunar Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the War Council's deliberations through their reality observation system. The quantum bubble, meant to ensure privacy, was impressive by coalition standards, but to humanity's technology, it was about as opaque as clear glass. "They're still thinking in terms of conventional power structures," she noted to her staff. Time for the next move. Across coalition space, reality hiccuped. Every quantum communication system, every FTL drive, every piece of advanced technology suddenly operated at 200% efficiency. Ships traveled faster, computers calculated more accurately, energy systems produced more power, all without any apparent cause or explanation. The War Council's secure bubble filled with urgent reports as confused coalition citizens reported their technology mysteriously improving. General Xar's crystalline form crackled with alarm. "What are they doing to our systems?" The answer came in the form of a transmission that somehow originated from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Dr. Maya Patil appeared, but not as a mere hologram. She was present in a way that the Coalition's best scientists couldn't explain, as if reality itself had decided to wear her form. "We've temporarily optimized your technology," she explained, her voice carrying undertones that resonated with the fundamental frequencies of spacetime. "Consider it a demonstration of what's possible when you stop trying to force reality to obey and instead learn to work with it." James Chen appeared beside her, adjusting his glasses in what the Coalition's psychological warfare experts would later classify as an unnecessarily intimidating gesture of casualness. "Your civilization has achieved amazing things," he acknowledged, "but you've done it by treating the universe as something to be conquered and controlled. We've found another way." The display shifted, showing coalition space overlaid with patterns of probability and quantum potential that their scientists had never imagined existed. Every piece of coalition technology was revealed to be surrounded by untapped fields of possibility. "You're using perhaps 10% of what your technology could do," Maya continued. "Not because you're not brilliant, you are, but because you're working against the grain of reality instead of with it." In the Zhuran system, crystalline ships began to dance in patterns that made coalition observers' sensors short out. The Zhurans weren't using technology in the conventional sense. They were having a conversation with spacetime itself, and reality was happily answering. "The Zhurans understand this intuitively," James explained. "It's why we protect them. Not because they're weak, but because they preserve knowledge of a fundamental truth that your civilization has forgotten. The universe is alive, aware, and eager to cooperate with those who approach it with respect rather than demands. High Marshal Ivan's quantum matrix pulsed with sudden understanding. The efficiency increase in our systems. You're not forcing this change. You're showing us what our technology could do if we understood what you understand. Precisely, Maya smiled. Your civilization has built wonders by treating reality as a set of rules to be exploited. Imagine what you could achieve if you treated it as a partner instead. The War Council chamber erupted in a chaos of competing theories and proposals. Some members argued for immediate military action, others for a complete reorganization of coalition scientific principles. Through it all, humanity's representatives waited patiently. Finally, Chancellor Ixel spoke, their plasma form stable and determined. "What are your terms?" "The same as always," Admiral Chen replied, joining the conversation. "Leave our friends alone. But now we're offering something more, a chance to learn. The Zhirans are willing to teach, and we're willing to share our understanding, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals exploring the true nature of reality together." In the depths of coalition space, ships that had been preparing for possible military action found their crews distracted by the miraculous behavior of their own technology. Quantum drives hummed with newfound efficiency, sensors revealed previously invisible aspects of space-time, and scientists began recording observations that would keep them busy for centuries. "An elegant solution," James commented as they monitored the coalition's response. "Instead of threatening them with our power, we showed them what they could achieve themselves." Maya nodded. "The best moves in chess aren't the ones that force your opponent into submission, but the ones that make them want to play a different game entirely." Across coalition space, the temporary enhancements began to fade, leaving behind tantalizing glimpses of possibility that would drive their civilization's brightest minds to question everything they thought they knew about the nature of reality and progress. Admiral Chen watched the quantum probability stream shift and settle into new patterns. "Phase 4 complete," she announced. "The coalition now has a choice. Continue on their current path, or begin to explore the approaches they once dismissed as primitive. Either way, they'll be too busy to interfere with the Zhirans." In the Zhiran system, crystalline ships continued their dance with reality, their patterns now joined by human vessels in a demonstration of harmony that made coalition observers rethink everything they had ever known about power, progress, and the true nature of advancement. Terms of understanding. 1 year after humanity's demonstration of reality engineering, the Coalition's Grand Archive, a structure that spanned an entire moon, hosted an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from Earth, the Zhiran systems, and the Coalition met not in the traditional halls of power, but in a garden designed by joint human-Zhiran engineers. Reality itself seemed to shimmer around them, the quantum structure of space-time visible to all through the enhanced perceptual fields humanity had helped develop. Coalition scientists, who once would have dismissed such display as primitive crystalline technology, now watched in fascination as probability waves danced through the air like aurora borealis. Admiral Chen stood beside Chancellor Ixel, watching Zhiran children teach coalition youngsters how to communicate with quantum fields through crystalline resonance. The sight would have been impossible just a year ago. "Your civilization has changed significantly," Sarah observed, her uniform now incorporating crystalline elements that pulsed in harmony with the local reality field. Ixel's plasma form rippled with what humans had learned to recognize as thoughtful amusement. "We had no choice. Once our scientists saw what was possible, there was no containing their curiosity. Though I admit, not everyone is happy about the changes. Progress rarely pleases everyone," Dr. Maya Patel commented, approaching with James Chen and a group of coalition quantum theorists. "But your adaptation has been remarkable." The quantum theorists' various forms, crystalline, energy, and even one consciousness housed in a matrix of pure mathematics, showed signs of excitement. They had spent the past year learning to see reality as humans and Zhirans did, not as a set of immutable laws to be overcome, but as a living system to be understood and partnered with. We've had to rewrite virtually every textbook, one of them admitted, their crystalline form vibrating with academic enthusiasm. But the results? We've achieved more in the past year than in the previous century. James adjusted his glasses, a gesture that now carried subtle ripples through probability space. Because you stopped trying to force reality to comply with your expectations and started listening to what it was trying to tell you. Azure and Elder, their crystalline form capturing and refracting light in complex patterns of meaning, joined the conversation. This was why we chose humanity as allies. They chimed, their frequencies carrying layers of meaning that all present could now perceive, not for their protection alone, but for their potential to bridge understanding between different ways of seeing. In orbit above, coalition ships now moved with a grace they had never possessed before, their engines running on principles that merged coalition efficiency with Zhuran harmony and human innovation. The defense grid around the Zhuran system remained, but it had evolved into something new, a demonstration site where scientists from all three civilizations could study the true nature of reality. There are still those in the coalition who want to return to the old ways, Ixal admitted, their plasma form showing traces of concern. Who believe that power comes from control rather than understanding? Sarah nodded. There always will be. We have similar voices on Earth. The Zhurans have them too, though they express it differently. The point isn't to eliminate disagreement, it's to find ways to move forward together despite it. Maya gestured, and the reality field around them shifted, showing the quantum connections that linked all three civilizations. Look at these patterns, she said. Each of our approaches creates different resonances, different harmonies. The combination is stronger than any single note. The gathering moved toward the center of the garden, where a new type of quantum computer was being unveiled, one that operated not by forcing calculations through circuitry, but by asking reality itself to explore possibilities. It was a physical representation of what the three civilizations had learned from each other. That progress didn't have to mean conquest, that power didn't have to mean control, and that understanding didn't have to mean uniformity. The terms of our protection remain, Sarah stated, addressing the gathered representatives. But they've evolved, haven't they? Chancellor Ixal's form pulsed with agreement. Leave your friends alone, they recited. But now we understand why. Not because of your power to enforce it, but because we see the value in preserving different ways of thinking, different ways of being. James watched a group of coalition engineers working with Zhuran teachers to understand the crystalline technology they had once dismissed as primitive. The best defense isn't the one that stops an attack, he mused, but the one that makes attacking seem pointless. Maya smiled, reaching out to touch a probability stream that twisted through the air like a ribbon. And the best terms aren't the ones that restrict, she added, but the ones that open new possibilities. As the gathering continued, three very different civilizations shared knowledge, perspectives, and ways of understanding reality itself. The coalition had come seeking to standardize the galaxy, to bring all species under one way of thinking. Instead, they had learned that true power came not from enforcing uniformity, but from embracing diversity, not just of species or technology, but of ways of seeing and understanding the universe itself. In the end, humanity's terms remained simple: leave our friends alone. But now it was more than a demand backed by force. It was an invitation to understand why different paths needed to be protected, why diversity of thought and approach made everyone stronger. The universe, it turned out, had room for many ways of being. It just took humanity, young, curious, innovative humanity, to help everyone see it. In the quantum fields above the garden, probability streams shifted and danced, showing futures full of possibilities that no single civilization could have imagined alone. It was a testament to what could be achieved when different ways of thinking came together not in conflict, but in harmony. Admiral Chen watched it all with satisfaction, knowing that while challenges would always exist, something fundamental had changed. The coalition had learned what humanity had known since first meeting the Zhurans, that the strongest alliances aren't built on power or fear, but on mutual understanding and respect for different ways of seeing the universe. And that, perhaps, was the greatest defense of all.